We're in Florida watching the trial of Donna Adelson, and the first witness of the day is the woman who represented Wendy, Donna's daughter, in that nasty divorce and custody battle that was going on with victim Dan Markel. So let's provide you with some context now to what was going on with this fight. Who better to do it than a Florida attorney who has experience both in criminal practice and in civil practice doing family law work like this. Jessica Mishali on the show with me today. Good morning to you, Jessica. Tell us your thoughts as you're watching this. Give us some helpful information of what's really jumping out to you with what this lawyer is presenting the jury with.
So I think she's an important witness. What I've been saying the whole time is this is such an interesting case because it's a family case turned murder. And it really is an example to show you of just how serious family court can be. Now, when she started out and she was saying that relocation is very common, she's right, it's common, but it is always highly contentious. And so I would respectfully disagree in that sense. The reason it's highly contentious is very obvious. If one person moves, you are giving sort of a sentence to these children, who might be 2 or 3 at the time, that for the rest of their lives, they're going to be either driving back and forth to Tallahassee or taking flights back and forth, and so are mom and dad. So you're telling this family that their life is going to change in a very serious way. And you're telling one parent that while you may have spent, week on and week off with your children, instead you're going to see them less often. So I would say that relocation cases are very, very difficult. She started to explain that she's only won one in her entire career, and it sounds like she's extremely successful. So that really says a lot.
Jessica, this is helpful. So thinking about what the jurors might be thinking, if I'm listening to this woman who represented Wendy, and I saw Wendy earlier in the trial, I'm wondering, is Wendy going to come in again for her mom? I think that's a fair question if any jurors have it like I do. What do you think about that prospect?
I think that it would be very risky for Wendy to put herself back on the stand. If she comes back in for her mother, she subjects herself once again to cross-examination. She is somewhat skilled at testimony, although I think that she probably could do better. If I put myself in her shoes, knowing that she has to lie about pretty much everything, she handles it pretty well, right? But she does not come off as credible, and she knows that she still runs the risk of being charged herself. So I would be surprised if she comes back in for mom.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Jessica. We saw she was panicked with that defense subpoena. I don't want to testify for the defense because then my immunity goes away. Of course, she could change her mind. She could come back in, but as you said, this is highly unlikely. But, the jury may be wondering what's going on with Miss Wendy. Jessica, I got to just say, maybe I'm the cheese that stands alone, but I'm skeptical of this. I'm skeptical because she's saying this battle was not bitter. Saying, oh, everything just seemed hunky-dory. I'm just having a hard time believing that. Curious what you think, please.
So to give it a little bit of context, family court is extremely bitter and contentious in almost every case. So what she's comparing this to is constant people who hate each other are trying to take each other's money, trying to use their kids as pawns. It's not a pretty picture in family court. And that's not every case, but that is the majority of cases. So that's what she's comparing it to when she gives you context. Now, that being said, I have a hard time believing her. And I think that her entire purpose here as a defense witness was simply to say that it was not a bitter divorce, that the litigation was not bitter. I don't think it's credible given everything else we know. And if it's accurate, if Wendy was behaving in sort of a friendly way and wanting to work things out, I would think the jury was probably thinking that that was all part of the plan, because this is not a murder that just happened like off the cuff. It's not something where there was an argument and one person kills another. This was highly planned and organized and plotted and paid for. And so if that plan is in action already while Wendy is going to court and losing everything in court, of course, part of the cover-up is for Wendy to be very calm and very gathered.
And bingo was his name. Oh, Jessica Mishali, bravo. I love that analysis. I think you just hit the nail right on the head that, you know, this lawyer, because I'm looking at her, I'm going, okay, she seems honest and credible. She has no reason to lie. She's an attorney. She's an officer of the court. But I'm still so skeptical. I think you just explained it, that it could be that Wendy has two sides to her, you know, and she's using the nasty language with her you know, her crew, her family, who's the people she's tight with, and not really letting on to the lawyer the true feelings, or if Wendy was in on the plan, she wasn't letting her in on that. I think you solved the mystery for us, Jessica. Thank you for that. Jessica, how many clients you think going through this custody battle throw themselves what does she even call it? Wendy gets her groove back party.
I mean, none of mine, and certainly none that invited their lawyer to. So I immediately, my mind goes to, she intentionally invited her lawyer. So this is something her lawyer would be aware of.
All part of the plan, right? As you said before, you think this was all very methodical, very measured, what the lawyer would see, not see. I'm with you. I think you cracked the case here, Jessica. All right, so Wendy's gotten to her groove back party. I would argue, I don't think she's got her groove back. I think as long as this cloud of suspicion is over her head, I don't think she's feeling too groovy. Jessica, what do you think? You think somebody, maybe some sheriff's deputies are ready to throw her, get her groove back party in a jail anytime soon? Do you think she's getting charges coming her way?
I think law enforcement should be at the airports since we kind of know the Adelson way. And again, I've said to you before, Julie, and I think I've heard other attorneys saying nobody really thinks she's going to be charged just because so much time has passed. But no one really knew that Donna would be charged, and she was caught at the airport. I mean, I think even looking at this, the fact that the case settled a week later, that in and of itself is also suspicious, because when you have a case this contentious with money, with children, with a relocation, and you have such a controlling family involved like the Adelsons, these cases don't settle that easily. They don't just settle a week later. So I think all of this is very suspicious.
Yeah, excellent points you're making. Jessica Mishali, always love having you on the show.